All right, cyber traders, welcome back here this Monday, March 15th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. It feels good to be back myself, I should say. Great to see everybody. Let's make sure my sound is coming in crystal clear. Great to see Skip, Michael. I saw Phil and Kath just before, and Lori coming in now. Perfect. All of our students and trial members joining us here live inside our trading room. Stefan, Norman, Will, Jeff. Perfect. All right, and like I said, for anybody joining in as well on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube, welcome on back. I have to appreciate, I have to thank Fausto, I should say, for giving me the day off on Friday. It was quite the gorgeous day. It was a great day to take off. So I really appreciate him allowing me to do so. But it feels good to be back. We had a pretty strong morning, but it's quite the busy day altogether. We have class from earlier today. And that should be on the dashboard later on this evening, at least by the end of the market close here today. But we do have class ahead at 3 p.m. Eastern time for all of our, and I wanted to correct this as well. From the morning, I know that Fausto had said gold, platinum, diamond. I want to reiterate, all of our bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond students here are part of CTU. You have access to the Phase 1 stock course, that being this afternoon. So we'll make sure that the link is posted very shortly ahead from here. But with that said, though, I want to go right from top to bottom, kind of like a lightning round edition, just scanning the market here. I want to start with what's on the board, though. The OCGN, we had called this out going into 2 o'clock, 2:30 here. It's a stock that we are all pretty familiar with at this point, just over the last, 3 months, really from the top of the year. From the really beginning of January, we ended up seeing this make a big pop from like $1.50, and it squeezed, as you could see, hit a high of like 18 plus going back into the end of January. So, it's treated us very well as a long. It's treated us great as a short, once we ended up seeing it dump back down. Yeah, but for right now, I mean, hey, the news came out right before 2 o'clock Eastern time here. OCGN CEO says that it has plans to sell 100 million doses of Indian vaccine in the U.S. in 2021. It says it hopes to launch, launch their drug in the U.S. in the second quarter. Okay, so that led to this big squeeze up thus far from like roughly off the low. It was kind of like stinking off the day here. Lower highs pulling back down to make a lower low heading into, pretty much right upon that news hitting. So we saw a breakout from there. It squeezed up, hit a high off 1045. I saw a couple of us go short for about 25 cents. I thought one of our traders, Michael D, ended up doing that. For right now, it's kind of holding off 10 here. It wouldn't shock me if it breaks down a little bit lower before it does squeeze back up. But just given the news, we're pretty familiar with this trade. Just before we go from top to bottom, we'll just put this on our main list to begin. All right, cool. So I always like to see that, at least, news on a stock that we are all pretty familiar with, a stock that has really good liquidity on the order book. So if this doesn't make a big move in any direction later on today, then I'm just really excited to trade it for tomorrow and for, this entire week, really. I'm happy we caught this, right now on a Monday. So with that said, we'll just go from top to bottom. The SGLB, of course, how could I begin otherwise? I mean, OCGN was on the screen, but we ended up doing really well on this trade, not necessarily as much in pre-market. It popped from the news in pre-market, but then fizzled out leading into the open. It did make a pullback at first. It does look like it just popped right away. It ended up kind of pulling back initially once the market opens up. We always like to say that, to wait the first 3 minutes, 5 minutes after the market opens up. Here's your 9:30 opening bell. It popped up at first, it shook back down. It did break under and over 5. And then from there, it ended up running up, getting halted, as you could see here off the high here at the time, roughly off 582. Now, a halt on the way up usually is a good sign, but you got to be careful at the same time as well. This couldn't have worked out any better, at least off the reopen. So, ended up holding right from where it got halted from, 582, as you could see, and then squeezed up pretty nicely. So, yeah, for right now, the SGLB, I don't know what the news is. Again, we're kind of doing this quick. So I had the news for OCGN. I'll do it for SGLB, but otherwise, I can't do it for every stock. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. SGLB announces contract with Lockheed Martin. Yeah, that's all I got pretty much. I don't really know much more aside from the headline that I just said there. I guess they announced some deal, some contract on a product. Nonetheless, though, hey, we don't need to know the news as to make money on this trade. So off the reopen, God bless. This ended up working as perfect as one could wish. Ended up popping up towards just about 750-ish, 770, and pulled back, and then broke even higher later on. And even still at this point, pretty strong near its highs. So I don't mind giving this a second look into the afternoon. It's not like super tight to its highs, but starting to push up off 8 right now. So if this wants to make a pop, I would say in the next like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, let's get it going. So let's keep this train moving on the way up towards 9. I'm sure it'll make a false breakout over and under 9, but we need to start seeing more action really soon. Time's a ticking on this trade. So normally I like to see a stock like right near its highs going into the close at this time of the day. I'm going to put this on the list given this bounce, but let's see more. All right, the CHEK trade, unfortunately, as good as we did on this in pre-market, at least we ended up seeing this make that pullback, that drop off once the market opened up. Ruby's all over the place. Wow, this thing, and yeah, I forgot about this. So Rich called this out at least going into the early afternoon, making that second win back up. But we saw this off the morning, the market open. It ended up popping at first. Fausto was, kind of commandeering this one. He was, or leading this one, I should say. It was squeezing up really nicely from 20 up to 30. Got halted a few times on the way up, and I don't know if it got halted on the way down. But as you can see, the profit taking ended up coming in, I think, even before it hit its high, and then from there, just like came right back down. So, it made a second little squeeze back up like we always tend to see these top percent gainers make. It wouldn't shock me if CHEK ends up making like a 50-cent move, but I'm not as interested. Actually, 50, let's say like 20. Wouldn't shock me if it makes like a 20-cent move, this CHEK trade. But, it wouldn't shock me at the same time if it just pulls back. It's not worth trying to gamble. We're not here to gamble. We always see these stocks pull back anyway. If it's not here, it's going to be tomorrow. So, at least for right now, the SGLB will put on our list. Just it's still pretty strong, but otherwise, a lot of these others we're just going to scratch off. OGC, not to be confused with OCGN. We have OCG and OCGN. This one, they're not tied together, but ended up making like this like low volume squeeze up earlier in the morning, ended up breaking out higher later on. And obviously now at this point, it's still making a sharp move up and down, big spread here and there. So I'll put this on our list. I'll try and separate it from the OCGN trade at least. Make sure no one has like traders dyslexia like Fausto and myself. So yeah, for the meantime, at least this OCG trade we'll put on our list. But this thing's got to find some support. I'm just putting it on the list given the afternoon volatility for right now. But there's not really much of a support here on the bid. A lot of volume came in off 7, but again, it hasn't really been holding 7 as a level, so you don't want to guarantee that. If anything, I would want to see a big order on the ask at 7 get filled, because that denotes a lot of buying, and should that happen and then it holds over 7 nicely, let's see a pop, and then from there it can make for a nice trade. But that's a lot of things to ask for in a row. I'm going to put this on our list given the volatility. Hopefully it does that, but if it doesn't, just be careful given the spread and the thin orders on the book here. All right, LKCO fizzled out. This was a bust. I mean, there were a couple of trades that were duds today. I was pretty, not pissed about, but I was upset by. Like, they're pretty inexpensive level 1 trades that you can load up on 3, 4, 5,000 shares of. The Genius trade here, this is like watching the grass grow right now. But even from earlier, this popped in pre-market leading into the open. There was some news that came out. This was looking incredible. The ZOM trade we'll just jump to right now because I had them in mind. The LKCO was a dud. The Genius trade was a dud. The ZOM was a dud up until at least 1 p.m. 12:45 Eastern time. It broke out from like 2:45 ish. Squeezed up pretty nicely. I wish I could say I took the trade, but yeah, for right now, I mean, it's still up to 10+%, kind of near the highs. I'll keep it on the side list for right now. Jump back to it at the end. All right, so I kind of just went off course there just with LKCO, but I wanted to just jump back. AEZS made a nice pop going into the afternoon. Made a new high off 160, ran up towards the high of 174, dropped back down. Made a higher low as of right now, but needs to get back above, I'd say, like that last peak off like 160-ish, 162, and then make the, higher high from there. Yes, TKT trade making a pop for the afternoon, kind of low volume, big spread, not much going on really on the order book. This at least, this one's trading more volume. What the hell's going on here? I'll jump to Benzinga Pro for this, at least for right now, this KMPH trade. Just checking my chat board right now inside the trading room. See some call outs on Blink and Quadruple U. We'll go to those in just a moment. The KMPH trade. All right, so all I have here from Benzinga Pro, it looks like back from Friday, they ended up reporting like pretty bad earnings, but they have really high short interest, apparently like 71% short interest. So that's what's led to this squeeze up so far. At the same time as we say that and we see this, I mean, don't be surprised. It should come crashing back down. And if it does, look for a support to build. But, you know, if the volume dies off after, I wouldn't expect for this to go anywhere. Like, look at the daily chart. You can just see that based on the daily chart here, you know, just some of these runs up and down, like these big gaps here. This was like a pump and dump back from like a week and a half ago. I forgot. Just, you know, popped up in pre-market here, I'm sure, this morning. Dump back down, gap down lower next morning. All right, so at least given the afternoon move here, I'll put the KMPH on for right now. But if it ends up dudding off, then I just move on to something else. Checking on AMC here. AMC off 14. It's just so choppy. It ended up making, as you can see, like a really nice pop from earlier. Hit a slingshot from 12, broke under 12, hit a low of like 1185, but no, under and over 12, ended up running from there. We'll talk about this trade, I'm sure, tomorrow inside Traders Talk. You know, for right now, for the afternoon, it's just choppy up and down. I ended up doing well on the long trade, but that was after I ended up taking a bit of a loss on a short. Or on a no, I'm sorry. Scratch that. Sorry about that. I ended up taking a loss on a long trade from earlier, and then I ended up making it back on another long trade from 14. My apologies. I was in from 14.34. I ended up averaging down here. Ended up breaking lower from 14.20. I ended up taking, I think it was like a 13 or 12-cent loss, and then I ended up making it back a little bit and some off 14, but just still, it's so choppy up and down. I'm happy to be out. At least I told myself, I was like, you know, you got to be out of this trade before the afternoon meeting. Before I, you know, if I waste the profits on it while I'm like doing this, it would be pretty bad. So for right now, at least, yeah, the AMC trade will kind of keep on the side. This ended up running up while GameStop like dumped off going into the early afternoon, late morning. Acer. This unfortunately made the exact move that I thought it was going to make. Unfortunately, at the same time as I say that, I wish I could say I jumped in this. I wish I could say I jumped in this from 4. I did not. Ended up making like the perfect hold right off 4. I came to the trade when it was at like 410. I was flipping through my level 4, my book map, and I forgot about this trade. It was at like 410, maybe 409, and I thought it was too late. I just didn't want to chase it, so just ended up running up to 450. And now at this point flattened out, but, you know, ended up dying off after the market opened up and made the bounce from 4 from there. All right, here's Norman's trade, the Quadruple U. All about you. Breaking a new high right now, or it just did before, and trying to once again, like 17K order on the S there at 717. All right, cool. SOS, familiar name, at least up 20%. I feel like I've been going down this gainers list for so long right now. Geez, obviously the market's up, but not by a whole lot. But you know, we've talked about a few trades from earlier today. You know, I wouldn't expect for there to be a whole lot on the losers list here, but we'll see if there's anything on that side in just a moment. Ooh, this MBRV for a nice level 1 trade. The second that 5-minute chart loaded up on the left side, I knew right away. Yeah, this one looks really nice, this MBRV trade. It's like slower moving, of course, but, you know, for a level 1 stock as a new student, this would be like the prototypical type of trade you would want to watch going into the afternoon. Also, at the same time as I say that, we talk about this more in our intermediate course, the phase 2 classes. Actually, last month we talked about it, you know, potential gap fill here too on the daily chart. All right, what else we got here on the gainer side? Anything else? ZKIN. This one ended up popping from earlier with the AEZS trade. I thought this was like another blockchain related stock. Ended up like popping from like right around like 10:30 Eastern time. Ended up kind of dying off pretty quick. All right, folks, if there's anything else that looks good that's up, type it in the chat board. Let me know. Gonna hop over to the losers list here. It's not the losers list. There we go. We got a few things that are, at least are shortable. The FINV, I forgot about this one. So this one ended up running up for us back on Thursday, if not mistaken. I was off on Friday, so I didn't really see what this did. I didn't even look at this going into the morning. So back from Friday, last trading day, we ended up seeing this kind of make a slingshot right from like 760, 755, but I'm sure a lot of buying came in off the 8 level. Ended up kind of pulling back, I'm sure, Bitcoin this morning and some of the other fin stocks, going into the market open today. Held 820, then eventually 8. And for right now, at the low of the day here, this could be a good short to see continue break lower. I would say, though, at the same time, though, you have support right here, practically off 7, 697 the low, 7, 708. So I'm sure right around like 705, $7, you have a big support level sitting there. So for the meantime, I mean, it's like pretty flat, but we're familiar with the trade at least. I want to jump to the, oops. There we go. Yeah, pretty flat over the last 10 minutes. I mean, obviously it hasn't moved, but, given we're pretty familiar with the trade, it's at the lows right now. It is shortable. Perhaps we could see it break down to the 7 level by the close. I don't mind slipping it on here for right now. And I mean, at the same time, and like we always talk about this, we always say this for a stock that's up big, that's shortable. And if it's at the highs, like if it craps out the other way, we could try and short it. If this ends up squeezing back up, God bless, then we could try and get a dead cat bounce. But just pointing out support here from the last like month here back in February. All right, Torch also. Let's take a look at Torch just really quickly. I mean, I know it's slower, so. Yeah, I mean, this is like a nice level 1 stock to keep on your side list. Torch, level 1 to 2. Just not right now. We're gonna watch this, but perhaps tomorrow, maybe later on this week. Seal. There we go. Also from Friday, I missed this one. Ended up making a big pop. It looks like once the market opened up, taking off. I saw the news on this for like price target upgrade to like $14 by a firm. That's pretty outrageous from where it was trading. So, to get the squeeze up on Friday was no surprise. I hope everyone did well in this trade. Ended up dying off once the market opened up today. I ended up taking I think maybe I took like 4 or 5 trades like before class started. This was the first. I ended up taking a loss on this before I jumped over to AMC. But yeah, this seal trade, it was a small one, but dumped off much more from there and just fizzled out. Not a whole lot going on now. I wouldn't, always look to watch this day to day. Maybe I'll check in with it tomorrow, but if it's doing nothing, I'll just move on from it quick. GameStop, you already looked at pretty quickly. We're not going to like day trade that really as much. I shouldn't have clicked this. I mean, we're talking about GameStop. $188 stock LLY. I don't know why I clicked this, but yeah, pretty flat. All right, folks. I think that's all you got from me. So if there's anything else that you see on the chat board or on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, type it there. I'll take a quick look. Jump to Benzinga Pro actually while I do that. Marcel calling out bingo, which I'm a fan of the call out. We'll see how it looks on the chart. It's up 3%. Yeah, this not a whole lot to write home there, Marcel. If you're on a swing trade from a lower price and it's at the highs, then that looking pretty good. But as a day trade, it's like watching the grass grow right now. I mean, if this ended up making a big pop, then I would have definitely put this on the watch list. I love this trade normally, but it's on my side list, day to day. I was on it this morning. And then DM, same thing. Oh, yes, right, from Wendy. I'm sorry. Blink new high of the day. Same thing, kind of. It's one of those side list stocks that if you do well on consistently, like not to say every single day, but like week to week, if you're doing all right on the stock, then put it on your personal watch list. Same thing for Marcel and Bingo and Norman on NNDM. Just like they're it's like not a whole lot to write home about though. Looking at the trend or at least looking at the momentum, good trends at least I should say there. YVR, I saw it get called out before. This one's up 42%. So in terms of momentum, it doesn't seem like it's making like the craziest pop right now. But given where it's at going into the afternoon, I don't know. This probably just popped like while I was going from top to bottom here. That's why. Yeah, I'd rather focus on this for right now going into the close compared to those for the meantime. So the YVR at least I'll kind of put on there. Look at this pop just before. All right, I want to check back in really quickly. We had two stocks we were going to check back in with before the end. I mean, really three. KMPH we put on our list, but we said be careful of a pullback. And this didn't get halted on the way. No, it didn't. Yeah, just dropped off a lot more from when we were last looking at it. Wouldn't shock me if it goes down to 10 even. I might even drop this from the list if that's going to be the case. Can't really short it. From RJF, he's calling out the EBON. Nah. And I like EBON. Actually, EBON I ended up trading also from earlier today. Did all right on. But just right now for the afternoon, I wouldn't expect much more than what you're getting right now. What else do we have? We had the ZOM and AMC trade. That was it. All right. So ZOM, yeah, just like it hasn't done much, right? Ended up making that run from like 12:45 to like 2 o'clock Eastern time when it moved from like $2.45 up to like nearly 260. Again, good side list stock. We ended up trading this back from February, as you could see, gapped up over day to day to day. And the AMC trade falling off from 14, says Jeff. He's doing pretty good on that short, I bet. Yeah, I mean, that's a nice drop off right now. So that could just be one that if I'd probably keep this in mind alongside with like Blink and all of those others that we just talked about. I'm not going to like put it on the main watch list, but it's one that if you do well on consistently, then obviously keep plugging away at it, right? So, we could say that with like all of these trades, the AMD, NEO, Twitter, the airlines, the cruise lines, you name them. All right. That's why I say, though, at least for the meantime, between the OCGN, the OCG, actually, I'll tell you right now, you can't see this right now, folks, but just if you could imagine this, I have my notepad in front of me. I write these stocks down on a notepad before I finish this meeting up. I get it from Fausto. I told you folks to watch out between OCG and OCGN. I wrote OCGN down twice. I messed that up right then and there live. I can't believe that. So I'm scratching. We got an OCG. We have an OCGN. Both of them look pretty good. I like the quadruple U call out. That's looking pretty good now at this point so far compared to the others. And hey, if there's nothing else that really moves until 3:15, 3:30ish, and then if there's something that Rich sees or if anyone else sees, from Benzinga Pro, their radars, whatever, then at that point work together. But I like this list to begin here, folks. All right. So, I'm not going to be able to trade these going into the afternoon because I'll be teaching in class. Most of us will be in class at least. We'll be talking about order type, market orders, limit orders. We'll talk a little bit about stop orders, stop losses perhaps at least first. But, otherwise, we're going to post that link for class coming up very shortly for anyone on social media interested. Make sure that you first join us inside our trading room. Don't just jump right into our classes head first. You got to test our room out first to see if you like us. But, go right to the banner below, the link on the banner below to sign up. And then for all of us live inside the trading room, at least, we're going to post and tweet the picks. I know that Rich and Fausto will be back on the mic going into the market close. All right. I'll see most of us, though, coming up in class. Talk to you soon.